Hi again. It's me, Mrs. Stafford. I hope you had a great week, and I'm so glad that we could be here together today once again. This is our third installment of talking about a special word. Do you remember what that word is? You're right. The word is perseverance. And do you remember what it means? Yes, it means continuing to do something in spite of difficulties or obstacles. Now, some of you may be experiencing some difficulties and obstacles. It may be frustrating, annoying, and even infuriating. But I know that with God, all things are possible. Do you remember where that verse is found? Yes, you're right. It's found in Matthew 19:26. With God, all things are possible. And now I'd like to share a story with you. In 1847, a boy named Tom was born. He was the seventh and last child of Edward and Nancy Edison. When he was 7 years old, he was sent to a one-room school with 38 other students of different ages. Tom had so much energy, was overactive, and asked so many questions that the teacher soon became sour toward him. The teacher told Tom's parents that he was half-witted and not suited for school. After a month of school, Tom's mother decided to remove him and teach him at home. At home, Tom discovered the love he had for reading. He would go to the library often and read quietly at home. When he was about 11 years old, Tom found his life's passion for science. He read the World Dictionary of Science and he was hooked. He read difficult scientific works, particularly in chemistry and mathematics. Even though the material was difficult, through perseverance, he stayed with a scientific concept and tried to understand it until he mastered it. He then convinced his parents to let him work. He got a job on a local railroad that traveled back and forth in between towns. He passed out newspapers, sandwiches, candy, and cold drinks to passengers. The money he earned was used on chemicals and equipment to set up a small laboratory in the cellar of his home. This lasted until he created a particularly smelly concoction, and his mother told him he had to find another place for his lab. So creative Tom realized he could use his locker in the train's baggage car. This worked fine until one very bumpy train ride. A stick of phosphorus fell, landed on the floor, and ignited. Soon the entire baggage car was engulfed in smoke and flames. Luckily, Tom and the conductor were able to put it out. But to say the least, Tom lost his job, yet he was still determined to keep reading and learning. He still needed money, so he set up a small newspaper and sold it to railroad passengers. He shared his discoveries and ideas, and he became widely known to be bright and a go-getter. At the age of 15, something happened that changed not only his life, but the progress of science in the United States. When Tom was hanging out at the railroad station, the station master's young son walked onto the tracks into the direct path of an oncoming boxcar. Without hesitation, Tom jumped into the path of the boxcar, grabbed the little boy, and rolled into safety. The station master, who handled the telegraph machine, was so thankful that he agreed to teach young Tom how to operate the machine and learn the language of telegraph, Morse code. Almost immediately, Tom became consumed by this still young invention. He mastered the code and the machine, and soon became a telegrapher. He worked long hours sending and translating messages and spent hours tinkering with it. He soon developed improvements that became widely accepted in the new industry. As he got older, he became more interested in electricity. He built a laboratory and a machine shop. His facilities poured one invention and new application of electricity after another. By the 1900s, he had over 1,000 copyrights on his discoveries. With his determination, grit, and perseverance, Tom kept working and inventing useful things until the very end. If you haven't discovered already, we were talking about Thomas Edison. Here are a couple of inventions he created. This is a telegraph. Invented in the 1830s and 1840s, it allowed communication over long distances. An operator had to listen for dots and dashes in Morse code. Listen. Because they had to listen, messages came in at a speed of 25 to 40 words per minute. A little later, a British system was made that automatically printed the Morse code in ink on paper, and messages came in at 100 and 120 words per minute. About 30 years later, between 1870 and 1874, Thomas Edison built a better system. The telegraph receiver utilized a stylus made out of metal to mark chemically treated paper, which ran through a typewriter-like device. It recorded up to 1,000 words per minute, which made it possible to send long messages quickly. This is a light bulb. Contrary to popular belief, Thomas Edison didn't invent the incandescent light bulb. In fact, he was actually one of the last inventors to participate. In the 1870s, Edison invented a vacuum bulb so that a metal filament could be heated to create light. One night, he was rolling a piece of lampblack between his fingers, and an idea popped into his head. He created a filament combined with lampblack and bamboo fibers. With this new discovery and the combination of his vacuum pump that removed air more efficiently, Edison increased the lifetime of bulbs to approximately 1,200 hours. Life can be full of struggles, obstacles, and difficulties. You may experience tasks that seem too hard. It would be easy just to give up. But perseverance isn't about giving up. It's about trudging on. And God is there to help you. If you keep God close and keep Him in your mind and in your soul, then remember what Matthew 19:26 says. With God, all things are possible.